Welcome gamers and Stadia players to episode 24 of the Sounds of Stadia Podcast. My name's Chris and I'm one of your hosts this week. We've got a great show lined up for the next hour and we're going to cover some interesting topics ranging from newly open studios, new game announcements and releases, some inevitable coronavirus headlines amongst other things. But before we dive into all that, I'd like you to meet my amazing co-host returning once again this week. Waiting the wings, we have the techie teacher himself alongside his trusty sidekick with the one beard to rule them all. The other 2/3 of Sounds of Stadia, Tom and Richie. Welcome, gentlemen.
What's up, internet?
Hello there.
Hello there, indeed. How are we doing, you two?
Questionable.
Questionable. It's been one of those weekends, hasn't it, really?
Both for different reasons. So, Tom,
I'm on about 4 hours sleep.
You're on about, me too, Richie, me too.
It's your fault.
Yes, my fault. We had a late one last night, and Tom may have contracted something, but we haven't quite
diagnosed anything yet.
Not quite yet. Don't get carried away, people. Don't get carried away.
But just so you know, you can't catch coronavirus by listening to a podcast, even if one of the hosts has it.
Yeah. It's one of the best things about being a gamer, isn't it, really, is you can just stay indoors and lock yourself away from the outdoor world.
I've actually seen quite a few memes about that.
We are the
human race.
Yeah.
Experts of isolation. So actually, I wanted to start the show a little bit differently this week, you two, by having a chat, because we've not really done it in a while, but I wanted to know what the devil we've all actually been playing on Stadia. I feel like we always go straight into the stories of the week, but we are gamers at the end of the day. So
are we bringing the What Played Here section back?
It could be, with non-existent theme tunes. Yeah, what games have you been playing? Let's hear it. What have we been on?
Myself, I have been. For those of you who don't follow along with the usual narrative, I've been playing a lot of Spitling still. No, really?
Never.
Yeah, I'm pushing through with it now. We're pretty much done with the game. Going through the B-sides. 7 Spitlings to go. 7 to go. So I've just been slogging away at that.
You might even have them by the time people listen to this.
Perhaps, who knows? I'm probably going to try and get a couple more tonight. But other than that, Holly and I sat down and we played Guild as well.
How was it?
It was very good. Very good. It's a short game. Unless you go for the full set of collectibles and 100% achievements, if you just run through the narrative, through the story, it's relatively short. I'd probably say maybe like 8 to 10 hours, perhaps. But it's good. I like it. It was really fun to watch. I didn't really get involved too much. I sort of let her steer the way, give her the opportunity to play through it, make the most of her Stadia Pro, and she had a lot of fun with it.
So it's a weekend game.
Definitely.
I don't know much about Guild, and that's kind of been intentional because we have been talking about potentially doing a live stream or doing a Let's Play series of it. So I've been wanting to keep myself completely blind going in for that.
Yeah, so exactly the same, Richie. It's one that's in the back catalogue. Yeah. It's guilty that we've not played it. Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Did any of you have a chance to jump in and check out the pro games?
Yes, I have played quite a bit of SteamWorld Quest. I say quite a bit. About I think up to like chapter 4. Okay. But I played for about a solid 4 hours and I was just addicted. I haven't went back to it since in the last few days, but that game I like. It's a good game.
It's nice as well. It's quite unique.
You called it, Tom. You said I'd like it, and I did.
Yeah.
It's almost as if he knows.
Yeah. That and also a bit of Spitlings. While talking Spitlings, should we plug something that's coming out next week?
Could do. Tom, would you like to fill the listeners in on what we've been working on behind the scenes? You've teased it on Twitter. I've saw that.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but we did announce. We did discuss it slightly on last week's podcast, but we are starting a new series that you can expect every 2 weeks on the Sounds of Stadia YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia, called Spitling Spectacular. So every couple of weeks, we're going to open up about a 45-minute to an hour-long episode of a Let's Play of the three of us playing alongside a special guest. Now, last week, I announced that our very first special guest would be none other than the massive mini-team developers behind the game themselves. So we had a chance to sit down yesterday and talk to Milan over from the team there. He's the creative producer. And we had an opportunity to talk about the game, talk about the processes behind the development of it, the ideas, where they came from. and just generally have a bit of a laugh with it. But that episode will be out on Friday this week. That is Friday, the 13th of March. So stay tuned and just keep your eyes open for that. We'll be plugging it on social media as well, but just watch this space.
Yeah, definitely. We had a great time playing with Milan over there.
I think every time I've played Spitlings with other people, it's just been hilarious. It's just been a good time.
Yeah, it's absolute fun. And we actually did some journalism as well. We asked some good, deep, thoughtful questions, which got interrupted by the game itself a few times. But yeah, you'll have
halfway through an answer, someone just got,
Duncan.
It's very difficult to do an interview on the fly like that. Duncan.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it was definitely fun. I think we played for about an hour, I'd say, an hour of content there. Many deaths. We scared to count them. But yeah, so keep tuned in for that. Well, as Tom mentioned, we'll be promoting it over on social media. So check us out on Twitter and YouTube to keep in the loop with that as well. So lots of games we've played this week, including Spitlings, which seems to be the topic of the day. Almost.
What about yourself, Chris? What have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing? So I checked out Grid.
Okay.
Finally, after we've seen a few. You guys took part in the community event. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out very quickly to Glassed over on Reddit for that. It's been a while since it happened. It was the previous Sunday, so the Sunday just gone. But we had a 40-person grid race to announce the pro game there, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Richie and I jumped into it. I've got a few videos as well that I'm going to throw up online. Nothing exciting. I'm just going to throw it onto the Twitter account just so you can see some of the shenanigans that went down.
I might do the same, actually. I recorded a little bit of footage. You can see how terrible I am.
Simulation racing at its finest. I struggled a bit with the brakes when I was testing out the tutorials. But I did appreciate the way the game throws you into it. You do a bit of NASCAR, you do a bit of rally. Just throws you in. No chance. It's one of those games where you were just, here it goes. And the rewind feature, very unique. I do appreciate that. Once you've been a couple of crashes in that ruin your entire race, 3 laps in, it's nice to be able to just back
and then throw back to Prince of Persia again.
Yeah, Prince of Persia. It's going to happen.
The car of time.
The car of time. But so if you are out there, before we jump into all the other new juicy stories that we've got this week, we do keep growing, and we want to thank you again for your continued support and listenership. We've been growing over on Patreon as well, so thank you for people on there checking us out, and hopefully we're bringing you the content that you want to see. So keep supporting us over there, we do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, because believe it or not, people keep picking up Stadia on the fly as it goes by. We basically bring you a podcast every Monday, among other content over on YouTube, so don't forget to follow us on Twitter and YouTube at Sounds of Stadia. We also have Facebook as well, which not many people are aware of. Ooh, indeed. We just do have a Facebook community page, and I think we didn't really use it in the beginning. So I think getting more people from the community over on there would be great, just so you guys can chat with fellow Stadia players and fellow listeners of the show. And we want to, for the rest of the year, basically get a bit more engagement with our audience out there. We know there's hundreds of you who actually do tune in week out, and at the moment you just a voiceless face that we don't know. We just want to get to know, I think, our crowd a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Which brings us to some other quick announcements that we've got this week before we do get into the deep stories of the show. Episode 6 of the Tomb Raider Definitive playthrough is available on YouTube, so go check that out. How many times did Tom die? There is a recap right at the beginning of the episode, so tune in over there to find out. Was it as many as Spitlings? It was rough. It was rough. But was it just tiredness, Tom?
I think you get a sense of my crankiness at a certain point in that video.
Yeah. I think at this point we're probably like 8 hours into a live stream.
Yeah. If you want to see how cranky I get when it's past my bedtime, make sure to check out that video.
So we've got that. We've got the Spitlings dropping on Friday. So we are actually quite content rich at the moment. And just to throw another thing out there for you, because we do love you so much, we're also going to do a kind of mini special Sounds of Stadia stream next Saturday if all the planets align and we get everything right and Tom doesn't die between then and now of some kind of virus.
We're hoping he doesn't.
We're hoping he doesn't. If he does, he's going to infect us as well. But we're going to be there. We're going to power through for your amusement out there. And we're going to bring you some streaming. So it'll be on Twitch, if I'm correct in thinking that as well, Tom.
It'll be both on YouTube and on Twitch. We usually do a simulcast where it goes out to both platforms at the same time. So you pick your preferred platform. Either way, it still supports us. So just make sure to head over either to twitch.com/Sounds of Stadia or youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia, and we'll make sure that we schedule it in advance so you know it is coming.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Twitter feed for the scheduling.
Yeah, and we're just going to play some games. I think the three of us all in the same room. As I mentioned just then, we're going to get involved in all the community. So jump in, join us, give us your questions, your comments, your curiosities. Let's just get a conversation going while we play some Stadia games. That's what we're all here for.
I think we could possibly get some trials going on again as usual. Have a bit of fun with that. Maybe some grid. We'll see. We'll see.
So we're gonna finalize that as the week goes on. We'll get that. So just to summarize, you've got Tomb Raider, you've got Spitlings video on Friday, you've got a stream next Saturday, you've got the podcast on Monday. What more could you possibly want? What more could you possibly want? Tell me.
Literally tell us.
Get in the chat. Tell us. Get in and let us know how we can serve you better.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely communicate with us. That's what we want from this as well. You let us know what you like, let us know what you dislike, and we will tailor everything around what the community wants at the end of the day.
Yeah. If you want Richie to send you nudes, you need to let us know.
That's a different Patreon to the Sounds of Stadia one, though.
But yes, so we two out of the three of us don't bite either, so don't be scared to reach out on Twitter and get in touch with us. Just ask us. We're just human beings creating content, so yeah,
Who's
give us a
the
shout.
one who does bite?
Well, that's the curiosity side.
You have to find out.
Will we bite you? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. So without further delay, then, Mr. Tom, let's get to it.
The super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
Sports and antiquities. That's an extra section. I don't know where the hell that came from. It's not a new segment. It just was there in my head. I think that's because I threw a little soft spongy ball up in the air as Tom started doing the rundown. And it just reminded me of playing football or sports. And yeah, there you go. Sports and antiquities. I don't even know where antiquities came from. I need sleep. I need more sleep. But before I go to sleep and get them Z's, let's jump into the news. So big stories this week, good and bad. Starting off with a news story I was delighted to hear about. We heard news of Google Stadia opening another studio in California, I believe it was. But it's led none other than Shannon Studstill, who was previously of Sony Santa Monica's team, otherwise known as the team of developers behind the Game of the Year winning God of War, which is huge. That is huge news. It's huge news, and it's a massive get for Stadia.
God of the War is one of them games. It's probably the newest game to be in the greatest game of all time category. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that you actually get a game added to that list where it's a serious contender in that debate. Yeah. So it's huge news. That's the caliber we're talking here.
Yeah, so there was a Google blog post by Jade Raymond, who's obviously the head of Stadia Games Entertainment. So we have the studio that opened up in Montreal. So it's in Playa Vista, California. That's the one. So yeah, Shannon's been around for a long, long time. You just had to look at her account on Twitter when they announced the move, and all of the support from people across the industry who just said it's a huge get for Stadia, huge get for Google, and it just makes the future really, really exciting about what exclusives she can kind of chaperone into the world. The statement was basically said, I've been a fan of Shannon's for a long time, admired her award-winning work, Sony Santa Monica studio, industry-defining franchise like God of War, fans all over the world, extensive background in product development, creative leadership, but more importantly, she's a visionary who is a studio director, a lead and inspire the Playa Vista team, and we're thrilled to welcome her to the Stadia family. So I think not just her actual recruitment, but things mentioned there, product development, creative leadership, and experience is going to bring, I think, a lot to a newly founded Google Stadia team, because we've spoke about it in previous shows about sometimes they almost don't know what they're doing, whether it's from a marketing front, a development front, why the games weren't ready out the door to go. And I think bringing this experience in, it adds a lot of credibility to Google Game Studios. What are your thoughts, gents?
I agree with everything you just said, basically. Yeah. And if we think about, go back to God of War as well, that was one of the games that it kind of, I don't think it was delayed or anything. I think it literally was announced, it came out when it was meant to, and it was incredible.
Yes.
And that just, to me, that just shows that although, yeah, you can say to the developers have done amazing work making the game, but then you've got the people managing the studio and make sure you've got the right team in place to enable that. and what was it, Shannon?
Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, Shannon. She was part of that to make sure that that game got in people's hands, as incredibly polished as it was, when they were expecting it to.
Yeah,
I think one of
flawless.
the things you've got to bear in mind is obviously studios are more than just the heads of it, but the head is sort of the where everything filters down from as well. So you can have incredible creative talent, but to bring it all together to culminate in a final product, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? And if you've got a huge player like Shannon, again, from a very, very reputable studio, for historically hugely reputable, then this first of all shows us that, hey, look, it's not just one studio Google have got now, it's two, and we know that the scope is going to grow for more as well. We're probably going to see Japan at some point, we'll see Europe at some point as well. So I believe there's work behind the scenes for things like
I think there was a London one that
that's where I was going to go. London, they're scouting for at the moment as well. So to see that they've now established a new studio in arguably possibly the epicenter of Google's hub as well, really, in California, that sends tremors out. I think that just makes waves.
Yeah, I also think the thing with opening the studio is you're not seeing anything major from the studio for the next 3-4 years. So it shows Google's commitment. And no, this isn't something that they're playing around with, and in 6 months' time, a year's time, they'll just give up on. Because no, they're getting these big people from the industry effectively going, I want you to build a studio. And then, they're committing to at least probably 5 years.
And these individuals as well, I mean, they're agreeing to contracts of employment as well. So they're not just going to jump ship from one place and move over to something that's arguably only going to last 6 months. Oh, no, Google will can it. I'm only going to have 6 months of employment, because these people will still have, they'll be looking for longevity. They'll be looking for security as well.
I'd imagine Shannon has probably negotiated, look, I'm going to need 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of time to just get the studio off the ground before we even start drafting out ideas for our first game to get things in place. So, yeah.
It's just, it's a lot, as Tom alluded to, it's the credibility that she brings, and I can't imagine Google got her for cheap either. If you picture, she's just came off the back of an award-winning Game of the Year behemoth that was God of War. So it beat Red Dead Redemption 2 for Game of the Year as well. That just drives home the message of how good this game was. And if you've not played it, fool be you. But I think her jumping across, like I said, the credibility she brings, but the costing just shows how committed Google are to making Stadia work. All those people in the news articles that still say it's losing, it's failing, it's floundering, whatever it may be, week in, week out, they're not backing down from this, and stuff takes time. It's going to cook in the oven, and like you said, Richie, this is going to be a 3-4 year project. I think the quickest turnaround time for a AAA game I've seen recently was Death Stranding, with was it a 3 year with Kojima, where he had to create a studio from nothing into that, but he had an engine to go off the back that they borrowed from Guerrilla.
Yeah, so
and
he had
even
Sony,
more work.
He had Sony support, and let's be fair, Sony support probably means at this point a lot more than Google's, because they know a lot more about the industry. They've done it time and time again. Google haven't yet.
But it just rings true with how did they, one, turn Shannon's head into actually thinking about working for Google, and then you've got to imagine as well, her next project was the follow-up to God of War. So yes, she's left on a high, but for you to leave such a successful project and start at a brand new company, she must have had a peek behind the curtain at Google and saw something special for her to jump from such a reputable place.
Oh, God, yeah. And I'd imagine for someone's career, you've just released something like God of War, and now you've effectively just been handed almost a blank checkbook to build a new team, to build your own studio from the scratch. That this will always be your studio. That's really very exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
I mean, if you think about it as well, she spent 9 years with PlayStation as well, 9 years with Sony.
Yeah.
So it's a long time. It's a lot of experience right there as well.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to know how many people actually follow her, because as you mentioned, Tom, they're in the hotbed in California where a lot of game studios are now. Yeah. So who else leaves, or what does her name now attract towards Google and the Stadia team? And I know GDC's indefinitely on hold, isn't it, Richie? So we don't know, but
until the summer.
If you can imagine, Shannon is going along to the next whatever that ends up being, and she's going to be center of attention for people wanting to talk to her, and recruitment feelers are going to be out there and building this team. And with a name like that and a reputation like that, which is so recently in the news. I mean, even just this week, I saw a God of War story. If you guys seen it, where there's a scene where you fight somebody. We won't go into spoilers, and he ends up falling off a cliff. And he basically someone messed with the camera angle of the game, so you could actually break the traditional camera angle. And he was basically giving him the finger while he was falling off the cliff. But you wouldn't see that in the traditional game. You had to break the camera to find out it was doing it. But it's a funny little Easter egg in there.
That's probably one of the animators just having a bit of fun.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But just shows you though, it's still in the news. Like what, a year, 2 years on now since it came out originally.
It's still very relevant because it was so groundbreaking.
And it's not like a game of service that people are just going to jump in day and day and play. For me, I platinumed it and haven't touched it since. It's one of them games. I played through the story. It was amazing. I did everything that game had to offer. And then I've put it aside. I'll probably go back to it at some point because it is one of them games, but it's going to be years before I touch it again.
Yeah. On the cusp of the sequel.
Yeah.
But it's exciting, and I'd love to think in 3 to 4 years time when Google come out at E3 potentially, or they have a Google Connect eventually. When will we ever see a Google Connect again? We've actually not spoken about that. We've not had a Google Connect since November?
We've only had one, full stop. So
where's the sequel?
I think we've just given up thinking about it.
Yeah, I think my assumption is it probably didn't do as well for them as they were hoping, so they've abandoned it for other methods. Yeah. But I like that method of content delivery. I I prefer it to the blog posts.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a lot more interactive. So maybe Shannon will give them a kick up the backside, bring a lot of experience and a lot of know-how, and just give them some direction. But yeah, I'd love to sit here in 3 or 4 years and just see their announcement of this amazing AAA game, hopefully story-based. I'd hate to think her talents would be wasted on an always live multiplayer online battle royale game or something like that, which I don't think that's why she's been recruited for.
I mean, she's the head of the studio, so she's probably not going to be the one, I'd imagine, leading up the actual development of the team. She's going to be the one overseeing everything the studio does. It might not even be one team. There might be multiple development teams in this studio. It depends how much what her budget is and what the plans are.
Yeah, very true. So speaking of multiple development teams, a developer that we know has people in places all over the globe is one Ubiquitous Software, also known as Ubisoft, which brings us on to the next story. We got a date, gentlemen, for Tom Clancy's The Division 2 and the Warlords of New York DLC. It's going to arrive on Stadia March 17th. So not just
around the corner
away. Just around the corner indeed. I've played The Division 2, had a great time with it. It's definitely enjoyed more as a group. Now, my question for you two and the listeners out there is, what price do we think it's going to launch at? Because we've got to remember, this game was on offer on pretty much all other platforms for a low price of $2.99, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right.
£3. And
I was guessing a price for it and the DLC as like a season pass package, or just the base game. Just
base game was $3. What's it coming out on Stadia?
$59.99.
We laugh, but
I was going to say I was being cynical.
Yeah, I think it's going to be $59.99, but I think it's going to launch on sale. So it's going to have a pro deal. It's probably going to be about $25-$30, I reckon.
Is that the collective package?
No, the base game.
The base game?
Yeah.
No. Surely, base game, my thoughts would be 30, DLC 25.
I don't know. It's not that old of a game. It's only, a year old?
Okay.
It came out last March, April time, I believe.
Maybe I'm not being cynical then. Maybe I'm actually being optimistic. Maybe I'm being really hopeful.
So I'd like you to be right.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a full price game, like that $50-$60 price point. But I do think it's probably going to have a pro deal on it at the start.
So I still have that
game-
Google Play credit sitting in my account. So,
Yeah.
price it
It's-
right, and maybe I can use it.
Yeah, the reason I think it's going to have a pro deal is because it is a game of service game, and you need to get that base in, get the player base in for it to work properly.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's currently no longer on sale on the PlayStation Store. It's back up to $24.99. My worry with which, as we've experienced with other launch games that have came to Stadia. So bear in mind, this is going to be it's just tipped over a year old when it's coming out on Stadia. So it's late to the party. As you mentioned, Richie, they need the player base. Shoot, they've got to match the other storefront. Surely you can't come out swinging with $59.99 on a year-old game.
There's another part of very interesting news about the Division 2's release, actually, regarding the player base. That it's apparently going to have PC crossplay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quite interesting.
This will be the first, if it's true, this will be the first game with actual crossplay from Stadia.
Well, we found that out through possibly what's considered to be an insider leak, haven't we? From a screenshot, we found that PC players were seeing it within the screen, like the options menus.
Yeah, it was chat, wasn't it, with PC and Stadia players or something? You had to turn on.
Yes.
In the settings.
Google have always said they're open to crossplay, and most developers have as well, it's why I'm always so a bit surprised that games haven't got it there. I think it's one of them things that we often think, it should be fairly straightforward, but it's probably a bit more complicated in the back end to actually get it running smoothly.
But who better than Ubisoft to actually launch that on Stadia, considering the closeness of the relationship there? Like, who better to actually put it into their hands to actually enable that feature and to roll it out as well? Because that's the kind of thing we want to see. Again, a big publisher putting their weight behind it and saying, like, right, yeah, we support this. Like, we support crossplay as well. Yeah. So do it.
Yeah, there was no announcement of cross save from consoles, unfortunately, because that was the thing for me. I have my Division 2 save, I have my character and all my experience. I would have loved to just move over to Stadia, and I would have jumped straight back into it. Starting again doesn't excite me that much. However, if it comes in at a decent price and you two are happy to jump in, the one thing I didn't necessarily have over on PlayStation was a team of 3 to jump in with and kill some bad guys. Yeah. So if that comes at a sweet price point, or even a pro game for April, potentially.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is I won't be buying it this month.
What if it's $3?
Okay, if it's $3, I'll pick it up because why not? But
go on, Chris, you twisted my arm.
No,
$3.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to do it.
Even if it's like $20, I don't think I'll be picking it up this month. Why are we talking in dollars?
Because we've got a large American audience, USA out there.
Yeah, if it's £20, I probably won't be still picking it up because it's just I've got other things I want to pay for this month.
Well, this you mentioned dollars there, Richie. This is a gripe that I brought up many episodes ago now, and it's still relevant today. The price conversion for these Stadia games is literally 1-for-1. Yep. It's $29 to £29. That's not how exchange rates work. We're being mugged over on this side of the pond.
Well, yeah, is it the Serious Sam collection that's just launched? It's £29.99 or $30.
The exchange rate is not a penny.
Yeah,
that's not fair.
It might be now.
Shafted.
Yeah, that's they need to sort that out. But either way, my reckoning is they may do a similar move as what they did with Metro, whereas this could be a pro game for April to get the player base in, get people jumping on playing it, and then the New York Warlords of New York DLC will be at full price. So similar to what we saw with the Sam Story Metro DLC. Get the game in people's hands free or at a really cheap price point, and then if they enjoy it, they're much more inclined to purchase the DLC, which is current. It's currently I think it went live last week on other platforms. So then people playing it on Stadia, they're no longer a year behind. They're immediately brought up to date with some current DLC that other people are talking about and playing. So
I'm with you there, but I still think April's pro game is going to be Doom 2016.
Okay, I was going to ask you that actually. What do you think? What's more likely? So Richie's going to go Doom. Chris?
I'd like it to be The Division.
Okay.
I actually would prefer it to be The Division because I have Doom 2016 on my PlayStation, so I'd rather have a game that I don't have than one I already do.
See, I have The Division, but I feel like to get people in the door and to play with you two, I'd really like it to be
be quite nice. Be quite nice.
I mean, I've talked about my thoughts on Doom before, but it was just so ubiquitous with Stadia's launch that I think and the fact that Doom Eternal got delayed, but that doesn't make sense why Doom 2016 wouldn't be released. That's why I'm so convinced it's going to be a pro game. I think that is probably part of the contracts involved, and they're just
Hey, Doom's out this month, lads.
Mm-hmm.
We've ticked into March.
That might be the reason.
Day one?
That might be one of the reasons why I'm not going to buy the Division this month.
Other focuses,
That and Lost Words.
Yeah, we got Lost Words coming later this month as well.
That's 27th?
27th. Ooh.
24th.
24th.
Oh, even sooner.
No, actually, no, I'm sorry. It is coming out the 27th.
Okay.
False news, Richard. False news. Don't listen to him, listeners.
Fake news on this internet? What's going on here?
I may have something else on my calendar on the 24th.
Ooh, are you teasing something there, or is it just something personal? I have a dentist appointment
before he shares it.
Yeah. I was tempted to do a Lost Words stream, but I'm not committed yet. Which is I've put on the 24th. This is when I'm going to actually have a think about it.
Right. Okay.
Because obviously we did have GDC that week as well.
Yeah.
Which we were gonna do something for, but evidently not now. We'll see. It's in the pipeline. But so Division 2 Warlords DLC is going to arrive on Stadia as mentioned on the 17th of March, which is not too far away. So hopefully it comes in at a decent price, and we can all jump in as agents. And the storyline actually rings quite true from what's going on in the world right now with the dollar flu started it all off in Division 1, spread around the world, terrorist virus, and here we are with coronavirus. Speaking of, we had another cancellation this week off the back of the damn disease. That's not a disease, is it? Virus. Don't be fooled into saying disease.
It is a disease.
I thought it was a virus.
It is. Disease is all-encompassing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
You're thinking of the difference between like virus, fungi, and bacteria.
Oh, well, that's a fun guy. But anyway, speaking of events that have been cancelled, the Google what did we say it was, Tom? Was it I/O? We confirmed that, didn't we? I/O. There he is. So yes, the tech event, Google's announcement where they kind of go through their Android statement releases for the year, their plans for using smart home tech, and it's more software based. But their big conference, they have delayed it, so we weren't really anticipating Stadia news. I don't think coming out of it. I don't know what your two thoughts are, but I just thought it was going to focus more on that.
Was the last one was the Stadia news? I can't remember.
It was the Google something.
No.
It wasn't the I/O event, Richie.
No.
It was it was for because they announced the Pixel phone details and some of the smart tech. I can't remember the name of it. Google something.
No, the IOs tend to be more centric to that side of the business rather than Stadia, I think. You may see some like minor announcements, things like Stadia being supported on certain devices or some sort of links between applications and so on, integration, but
I'm
big.
I'm still a fan where I know Google like these big events where they talk about everything Google, but I think Stadia is so different to the rest of Google that you keep it segmented off to the side so you can keep the newsfeed quite clean. Like, just don't hide things in events that people are not expecting it.
Yeah, it was the Made by Google event, Richie. That we're thinking of that.
Right, that's the one.
Made by Google. But stuff that wasn't made by Google, hopefully, was the obviously coronavirus that's affecting many, many people around the world. We've seen Italy on lockdown now. It's going to happen. It's cancelling events up and down the world, up and down the country. I was going to say it's the world. And obviously thoughts still out to those people affected by it, and it's definitely isolating big parts of the market, not only just the games industry, but the world as a whole.
Well, yeah, it's a pandemic. It's one of these things. This is going to be with us for months. Yeah. And we're going to see more and more of these events cancelled, big and small, all across the world. Yeah,
it's an interesting one that they cancel the event, and then they've said a lot of this stuff is going to be replaced. It's going to maybe take place between May 12th and 14th, and we know what was the event last week that was pushed back as well? It was GDC. So it's either going to be a very busy summer.
They're basically going to be
just keep going back and back.
I'd imagine just going to be taking the content that they're planning for these events and then just repackage it so they can get the information out there without having thousands of people in the conference center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Digitalize it almost.
Well, that's what they said they're going to do with the Stadia. Directly said with the GDC content.
That's the logical step to take, isn't
Yeah.
it? Really, because if you've got really important announcements, you can't just keep putting them off forever. You need to get it out there while it's still relevant.
And it's just going to take time for them to figure out how to rework it and actually rework it. So you'll probably hear in probably, I imagine, a couple of weeks, a month or two about the information that they were planning on releasing.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
I mean, you're our residential scientist, Richard.
It is true.
Do you want to put a time frame? Do you think E3 is going to be affected by this, or will this be a thing of the past by E3? You think E3
I do think E3. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are already cancelling the plans for E3 right now. The count's still going up. The virus is still spreading, so it's not winding down yet. I haven't been paying overly close attention to it, more just how it's affect the gaming industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
it's a curious one that it has to get worse before it gets better.
If I was a developer thinking about what I'm going to do for E3 right now, I'd be thinking about just putting a digital package together rather than, if it does blow over, then you can adapt the digital package into maybe stage presence or a physical booth. But I'd have an announcement just so I could just post to my YouTube from my Twitter feeds and stuff.
Contingencies.
Well, yeah, instead of having the contingency, if we don't go to E3, I'd have the contingency, what do we do if we go to E3? And just have it that way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost unfortunate. It seems like Stadia can't catch a break, really, if we think Doom scuppered the launch with Doom Eternal. And then 100%. And then we had Cyberpunk was delayed, Avengers was delayed, all pushed back, and then we presume Google were going to go big at E3 this year. That's what I think we were hoping for.
Yeah.
They had the GDC announcements all in, which we've speculated many a time that would be the base announcement. And we're going to find more news about that because here we actually are. We're sat in March, and we still don't know. And everything on Twitter is still keep your eyes on our social media field. And what's their favorite line they use, Tom?
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Well, I think we've found with Google, with Stadia, is they'll, especially with game announcements, to be like, oh, here's a game. A week later, oh yeah, by the way, it comes out next week. Like there's no like, oh, by the way, in next month or in fall or
it's one extreme or the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's literally like coming soon, like we've got no information for you, or it's arriving tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you have a chance to save.
I would like them to give us a bit more notice in game announcements dates, like just because games are expensive. We have other stuff to pay for.
Like we know it's sort of out of their hands a little bit.
Yeah.
We know that, but somebody needs to talk to us still. And while we appreciate the fact that we are getting all of this news now and that we are getting a lot better communication than we were originally having, there's still little discrepancies.
I know it's out their hands a bit, but when games come to PlayStation or Xbox, it's not usually you find out a couple of days before that the game's coming out. You get a couple of weeks at least. Usually it's even longer than that.
Yeah.
Like, we've known the Final Fantasy VII release date for a couple of months now.
We have. We have.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them in a way. I just want them to catch a break. And E3 was going to be their big open party where they're going to get on stage, hopefully, alongside Microsoft, take one of the big booth panels, show off all their Stadia controllers, maybe some new color announcements all lined up for the press to get hold of and play with. And
especially with Sony not being there.
With Sony not being there, yeah, they could take that pillar opposite Microsoft, get all the Google brand stuff out there, sell some jumpers, sell some T-shirts, some stickers. And alas, it may all be knocked on the head once again, and it's out of their control.
Yeah, for me, it's not the floor presence. I think they'll be disappointed with. It's just behind the scenes stuff. The conversations between the developers and publishers and the platform holders and that sort of thing. Things like you happen at GDC, that happen at E3, that aren't in the public facing. Where this is where like ideas and probably entry-level discussions about bringing games to platforms and stuff occur.
Absolutely.
Exchanging of cards.
All those handshakes that you're not allowed to do anymore.
Yeah.
Are not going to happen, but we'll see. Again, we've got to think long game here, gentlemen. So once everything's out of the way and the world is back to normal once again, we can have E3 in September.
Yeah.
And GDC in September.
Yeah, the one thing we do have to remember though is coronavirus is a lot more important than games.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Unlike the games we play, we only get one life, so it's very important to respect that, and hopefully things will get better.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will. Richie's going to save us all.
I mean, I'm not.
You can save one person, Richie. If you save one person.
It's not exactly the field of it's not my field of expertise.
You're as near out of the three of us. You're as near as it's going to get. So
of the three of us, I am the closest to.
You are humanity's last hope.
But
bit of pressure there. Bit of pressure there, mate. So moving on to news stories as well that we got this week. We found out some more games. You're speaking of Stadia and their announcements. We got some new games came to us. So
nice.
Coming soon, trademark. As we've came to expect now. Over on the community blog, it was just Stadia employee this week. Wasn't Grace or Chris. It was just Stadia employee. Posted.
They forgot to log into the main account.
Yeah, probably just guest account. They posted 2 new games. We've got the Turing test and Relicta. Richie?
Relicta.
Thought you might want to get involved there.
I was just hoping it'd stop.
Relicta. It's just going to keep going. Relicta. So we got 2 puzzle games. So gone. It's no longer the topic of the week. It's no longer the flavor of the month. The first-person shooter is out of there. We are now moving on to indie games and puzzle games because Stadia doesn't have anything else but shooters. Remember, we've got can't say it again. Relicta. And the Turing test. Either of you played the Turing test before? I know it's been available on other platforms for a while now.
Yeah, it's a 2016 game. It was actually published by Square Enix, which is why I think it's actually come out to Stadia because of the partnership there. We know Square Enix are already in the ring with Stadia there. Haven't played it. It's kind of my thing though. I really liked the Talos Principle. I really liked The Witness more recently. Mm-hmm. It's that sort of game. It's very much a first person, navigating a world, navigating a set stage, shall we say, and solving puzzles to progress.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people in the comments section regard it as like a Portal-esque game.
Yeah, there are elements of it.
I was thinking about that for Relicta, to be honest, when I watched the trailer. That definitely had some Portal vibes.
Inspiration, if anything, then should we say.
It doesn't have portals, but
yeah. So if we look at the breakdown of the 2 games in itself, so Relicta says it's a first-person physics-based puzzle game where you need to combine magnetism and gravity in order to unravel the secrets of Chandra Base. Alone in the treacherous depths of the moon, your scientific mind is the only thing that can keep your daughter alive. But you didn't even know you had a daughter, Richie.
I didn't.
Play as a psychist.
Physicist, Chris. Physicist.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I am tired. I am tired. Wow. Play as a physicist.
Plays a psychic.
Fuck me. Plays a psychic. Plays a psychic on the moon. Save your fake daughter. Oh, stranded on a derelict moon. Let's start it again. Play as a physicist stranded on a derelict moon base and bend gravity and magnetism to your will. Will you rush straight ahead, or will you take your time to unravel the intrigues of 22nd century orbital politics?
Hey, we all like politics in video games, don't we?
Well, especially when they're orbital.
Yeah.
Buried in the eternal darkness. Yeah, buried in the eternal darkness lies a secret that might claim your daughter's life or change the fate of humanity. Are you ready to face the consequences of your research, Richard? Nope. So, feature-wise, it includes mind-bending mechanics, alter gravity and magnetism at will, complex physical puzzles, lovingly detailed environments, a deep and enigmatic story with immersive and original soundtrack. Does that sound good to you too?
It does, actually.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. So, sold you on it. Interesting.
Yeah. I think I did mention Portal, but I think any sort of physics-based first-person puzzle game, there's no way you're getting away from the Portal comparisons.
No,
because Portal basically made that genre.
Yeah, I think Valve pretty much just sort of like hit the nail on the head with that, didn't they?
Yeah.
They, as you say, Richie, they created that. So anything that does this, it's like, oh, okay, we have a little bit of a science-esque themed, physics-esque puzzle game. So what are the little fun things we've got here? Magnetism and gravity. Okay, yeah, they're basically taking Portal and they're basically trying to say, look, we can do it too, and this is what our little gimmick is.
I'm okay with that though.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's a fun game with fun, interesting puzzles, and it's the fact that they've got an overarching story through it as well. That's a very Portal move.
Yeah, certainly. And it doesn't look like Valve are giving us Portal 3 anytime soon.
I think the one thing we need to take away from these stories, and this is where my focus sort of goes a little bit, is I try to look at the publishers for these titles as well, because that gives me some sort of idea then of who is playing along with Stadia and what can we expect as a result of that. So Deep Silver here are publishing the Mighty Polygon game Relicta.
You did what to her?
Wow. He went there. So Deep Silver, just having a quick look through their library once again. We've already got Metro from them. Saints Row, perhaps.
Been a while.
Outward is quite a recent game, actually, that has came out probably maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, perhaps. It's an open world, hardcore style game, similar to Skyrim. In a sort of way, but you don't play as a hero of sorts. You play as just a generic townsperson who is suddenly taken on a quest, and you have to literally try to survive in a world with no special ability. You have to be able to like train yourself to be able to
real life then.
Yeah, it's like Skyrim for normies, basically.
Normies. Who you calling a normie?
That would be pointing the finger at myself, Chris.
You dirty normie.
Dirty normie.
So that's an interesting one. Relicta coming soon, trademark. And we've also got the Turing test. We've got down as its description, the Turing test is a challenging first-person puzzle game set on Jupiter's moon, Europa. You are Ava Turing, an engineer for the International Space Agency, sent to discover the cause behind the disappearance of the ground crew stationed there. Solve more mystery. Upon arrival, a series of puzzles await you. Tests which, according to the station's AI, Tom,
that's me,
that is you, voice included, can only be solved by a human. Convenient. These puzzles have apparently been set by the missing ground crew, but why have they created them and what are they hiding from? In an evolving story based on mankind's instinctual need to explore, protect, and survive, you will delve deeper into Europa's ice-crusted core and discover that the lines between man and machine begin to blur. And with the energy manipulation tool, also known as EMT, solve the puzzles to open the way forward as you learn the true cost of human morality. Man, I can't read today. Someone else do it. Someone else do the features.
You're making it there. Features, we've got harness the ability to transfer power between machines using your EMT, providing a unique twist on gameplay mechanics and puzzle logic. Learn the significance of player control as you switch between multiple perspectives to solve the Turing test's most challenging puzzles. Switch between multiple perspectives? So I'm assuming we can switch first person to third person? Is that what it's referring to?
I don't know. I'm watching the trailer right now, and it's all first person, so...
Okay. And discover a story with multiple layers of depth and conspiracy, challenging concepts of human morality, once again, and giving freedom to players to form theories about the fate of ISA's crew members. I think I quite like the sounds of that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played this. I can pretty much guess where the major themes are going to be. It's around the... at what point does a machine effectively become alive? That sort of area of thought.
Also known as the Turing test.
Yeah. See the plug. So I'm quite interested by one of these closing lines from this blog post as well, where it says, if puzzle games aren't your favorite, don't fret. Doom Eternal, The Elder Scrolls Online, The Division 2, and many more games are coming to Stadia this year. It's interesting that they go back to plugging those games again in the blog. Yeah. We know Doom Eternal, we've got a date for that. Division 2, we've got a date. Elder Scrolls Online, we don't have a date for, though.
So does that mean it's soon?
Who knows?
If they're going to pick those 3 in particular, and 2 of which we know come out this month.
Yeah. I mean, I might just be speculating, but...
Yeah.
I think with Doom and Elder Scrolls Online both being Bethesda, they probably want to put a slight gap between them. Probably not. It doesn't have to be massive because they're very different games, but you don't want to cannibalize your own audience. So if Doom's this month, Elder Scrolls probably end of next month.
Yeah,
maybe.
Interesting. But bring it back to the Turing test then. What are we thinking, gents? Is that which out of the two of them, which one appeals to you the most?
I think probably the Turing test from what I've read there. It seems to be more along my own personal interests. Things like robotics, AI, space. Yeah, I mean, it's ticking all the boxes for me there. So I think I'll be giving that a shot. But it's possible I'll probably pick up both. With a preference towards Turing test.
I'm not having a high preference between either at the moment. I think it's going to come down to how the puzzles are integrated. I mean, I pretty much have already guessed what the Turing test's plot's going to be about. And Relicta kind of just tells you what the plot's going to be about. So it's just, for me, these games are more about the puzzles, and the story is there to add atmosphere and weight to what you're doing rather than just solving puzzles.
Yeah, the Turing test is almost self-fulfilling in a way, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You can figure that out for yourself.
I mean, if I had to guess right now, the twist is UI and AI.
Ooh.
Interesting.
And
okay.
Yeah. And it's going to end up with,
spoilers.
It's not spoilers, I've not played the game.
It's also that 2016 game.
Yeah. But and at the end it's like, you find out, but she's passed all the tests, but she's an AI.
You were an AI all along.
Is she truly alive? That sort of thing.
Is anyone truly alive?
Yes.
I can see why you like the Turing test, Tom, just because it's got you're in it. Of course, you've got to get them royalties, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's interesting though that we get two puzzle games, both based in space, at the same time. You think they would have wanted to separate them a little bit. I suppose we don't know when the launch dates are yet, so they could be separate enough. But
is Relicta new, or has it already been released on other platforms?
I've never heard of it before, so they didn't say anything about exclusivity. So my guess is it's already been out.
Just having a look now.
Have a sneaky look. Personally, mine is for the Turing test as well. I really enjoyed The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch. If you've not checked that out, it's a great movie, which tells you the history of Alan Turing himself and how he basically helped win the war.
Relicta coming 2020.
Oh, so it is new.
Yeah.
It could be day and date. It could be.
Yeah, I just checked the Steam store and it just says coming soon.
Oh, everyone's favorite buzzword. Coming soon.
Interesting.
So I don't know why. I was thinking if they're both previously released, this might just be a coincidence that they've got these over the line at roughly the same time. But maybe someone just went, oh, these are similar games. Let's
bundle them
together. Yeah.
Puzzle Pass.
Yeah.
Right.
Get all the puzzle games on Stadia for the same amount of dollars as you would pay pounds.
Yay! Go us!
Brexit. Which moves us on nicely to the game in question we were talking about. Serious Sam launched on Stadia, £29.99 or $30, depending on the side of the pond you reside. Either of you two picked it up, tested it out? Tom, I know you were a fan of this when we did our live stream back last month.
No, haven't bought it yet.
I haven't, and I'm unlikely to, because I've checked my Steam library and it's in there. I think I got it in Humble Bundle before, so...
okay.
There's not really that much point of me picking up a game that I'm not... It looks fine. It's not really jumping out to me. So there's no real point in me throwing down more money for a game that I could already play now.
Yeah,
so
while I'm excited by the fact that it's now come out, I also feel like I've got such a backlog of games once again already... Yeah. And now I just feel like there are other things that have taken my interest because it is a shooter. And even though I like Serious Sam and it has sort of a nostalgic place for me, even though it's not like ancient nostalgia. What am I? as I crawl out of my crypt. No, it's sat at a nice place in my teen years. So it's still something, but is it just something that I'm going to look back on and think, oh yeah, I enjoyed that, but I'm probably not going to pick it up. We'll see.
Remember when Stadia
it's ripe for being a pro game.
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it's that sort of game. They've launched on Stadia because if we pull it over there while there's not many games, we might get a bit extra cash out of this.
That's exactly the reason why I think they've done it as well.
Unless they're bringing out a new series, Sam, and they're using this to try and get reinvigorate interest in the series.
I don't know. I don't know whether it would do very well if they did.
Maybe they might be part of it where they're thinking about it. Let's throw it out there, gauge interest.
Again, I just feel the FPS market is just overly saturated. Not just on Stadia, but just in general. And people go for certain titles, and I don't see a place for Serious Sam in that moving forwards.
No.
Is he ever not serious?
No, he's pretty serious
all the time.
It's in his name.
That's
in a world without Borderlands, it could probably fill that hole.
I thought you were doing a trailer there, Richie.
No.
In a world without
Borderlands, Serious Sam made a new game.
But do we think the price was problematic on this one? I saw quite a little bit of backlash online regarding the $30 was almost too steep for this game.
It's a collection, so it's not just one game.
Still, I don't know, Tom. You've played the game. I have no prior connection to Serious Sam. So at £30, when I saw it drop on the shop, it definitely didn't entice me into buying it. Just judging by the gameplay footage in the trailer, £30 for me was too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that kind of money into it, to be honest with you. I'd probably put this around about 15, 16, 17 pounds, even though it's a collection. But at the point that, these games have been out since Serious Sam 3 originally came out in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a long time since it came out, like nearly a decade. And you can package it up and say it's a remaster and so on. But I don't think it's worth that kind of money with remasters.
Does this game have all like the DLC and everything in there as well?
I actually have no idea.
Because out of curiosity, I've just went on the Steam and searched for Serious Sam, and the Serious Sam the complete pack, which it looks like Serious Sam 1, 2, all of the extra games, the HD versions, is currently on sale. Take a guess how much it is.
$1.
Nowhere near close.
Tenner?
No.
Really?
£90.52.
What? Are you kidding me?
I am not joking.
What's that in dollars?
And that's on sale. That's with 20% off.
I'm also going to put my I'm going to put my foot in it a little bit here. There is a Serious Sam 4 coming out this year.
Ah.
Yeah, Serious Sam 4 Planet Badass is being released TBA 2020.
Planet Badass.
Planet Badass.
Is that title also created in 2010s?
It's been in development since 2014, so yeah, pretty much.
Well, it clearly looks like they need the funds then, everybody. So get over there on Stadia and get yourself the Serious Sam collection for $30 or $29.99 English pounds and help them out. Let's get this game shipped.
Yeah.
In a world where things cost too much. But yeah, that pretty. Oh, actually, sorry, I was going to mention there, Richie.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have it in your Steam collection. Does this mean you're going to play the game potentially on GeForce Now?
Nope.
Good.
Speaking of GeForce Now?
Speaking of GeForce Now.
Again, I don't really have a purpose for GeForce Now in my life, so.
Just enough. He's devoted. He's a devoted Stadia player now. But yes, that does segue us over to another news story this week. We won't spend too much on it because, again, it's a Stadia podcast, and I know we've heard a lot of it up and down the news this week. But another publisher has jumped ship from GeForce Now. Who was it this time, Tom?
It was our wonderful friends over at 2K Games. 2K Games. So all of the 2K titles have now been removed from there, which is quite interesting because with 2K, you're also possibly, you're looking at BioShock as well, really, in that bundle. So, BioShock coming to Stadia. I'm not saying that these publishers who are pulling out of GeForce Now are focusing on Stadia, but there's a bit of discussion going on there saying that people are pulling out of the GeForce Now model because it doesn't support their business practice in terms of licensing and obviously sales at the end of the day. Yeah. That's one of the big issues here. But so people are sort of taking that and redirecting their attention towards Stadia. Now, I've said before, I'd love to see BioShock over on Stadia. So
yeah, I've said before, but I think with GeForce Now, I imagine there's a lot of license agreements between publishers and platform holders with the specific wording that probably a few lawyers have went, GeForce Now is actually making you in breach of these. You need to pull out. Some of these may return at some point. I think a couple of publishers seem probably a little upset reading between the lines that their games are just being put on there without really much permission, much conversation involved. But yeah.
Curious that it's just another week passes where another big publisher leaves, which we know they could come back, but it just seems curious that it's another one. Once again, that's jump ship, so you've got left with Serious Sam to play, ladies and gentlemen. So enjoy it. Unless you want to buy the collection.
You could end up playing Serious Sam in 4K, though, couldn't you now?
Oh, you could play that. Specifically on a Chrome browser, would that be, Tom?
That would be on the Chrome browser, absolutely. We've had a couple of things have come to the Chrome browser recently. So we've had 4K support added, which is quite nice, because that was a bit of a stealth drop, that one.
Yeah, it was in one of the... someone found it in the patch notes or something, didn't they?
Yeah.
Google liked these stealth drops.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting with that is you've obviously got to have a 4K monitor to actually see the results of that. So for those of you who are diehard gaming PC gamers with your super PC master race computers, you probably have a 4K monitor, so you probably are going to reap the benefits of it. But for us lowly peasants out there, not so much.
You have a 4K monitor, don't you?
This is Ultra HD, so it's just 2K technically.
All right.
Yeah, not quite.
So 2K is still hanging around with you, other than Tom?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, like I said, I've got a direct line on my desk to them.
So Tom has.
Hello, 2K.
I do kind of now want to buy a new 4K monitor.
Just for that.
No. Well, at the moment I've got my Chromecast set up to one of my 1080p monitors. So and my capture card as well. So I was like, well, now I can play in 4K. I kind of want to.
I don't see, like, I know a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon of saying like, oh, I really want to be able to play this in 4K. But I'm sure we've said it before and we've discussed it, that it's not a selling point for me massively. I will admit, even though I have the pro subscription, I do sit there and I have my account set to balanced because I'm happy playing in 1080p. I don't need 4K. So
I'm like that. It's one of them. One of the many things I kind of want to buy is I want to buy a new TV. So my next TV will be 4K because of buying a new TV. It makes sense to go for that rather than another 1080p one. But that's when I'll probably make that upgrade.
I suppose if you've got a 4K TV as well, you definitely don't want to see 1080p upscaled on that 4K because that'll just be disgusting. Yeah. Stretched out pixels all the way across the sky.
Love stretchy pixels.
Richie's the man of many pixels, remember?
He is. This is true.
That's why you'd have to have 4K proper, not stretchy pixels. You need more pixels.
Man of stretchy pixels.
The man of many, many pixels. Many millions of pixels. Yeah.
So, speaking of TVs, there was another marketing push this week. We noticed some people who were purchasing Chromecast sticks were getting a 3-month pro subscription on Google as well. So send out via a marketing email. So it looks like they're doing some work behind the scenes. We had our BT, our Verizon deals come out last month. It looks to be that, there's more pro deals coming alongside Chromecast. So what do we think of this?
Well, I'm surprised that I haven't had my email about getting 3 months of Pro, considering I bought a Chromecast Ultra at Christmas. So, Google,
you have an account.
You don't get one.
No.
Did you buy an Ultra, Tom?
I did buy an Ultra, so I've got 2 Ultras. I use one of them specifically for streaming, and one on my living room TV.
Yeah, that's why I need another Ultra.
Yeah. So I have one which is set up as living room TV, and I have one which is set up as studio TV. It's quite nice. So
he's showing off, but it's actually the same room.
It is literally the same room.
On his webcam, I can actually see his TV in the background.
Yeah,
there it is in the studio.
Yeah. My studio is in a different room to my living room.
All right, Mr. 2 Rooms.
It's on a different floor as well.
You're so fancy, Richard. You're so fancy. But that brings us to a wrap on the news this week. So some quite exciting stories, from new studios to new games to price exchange rates being terrible, events cancelled. But it's been a busy week with all things Stadia. And last week actually left me a little bit hungry because we didn't get around to having any Sunday dinner, did we, Tom? Last week we just skipped straight to dessert. So before we wrap up this week's show, have you got any roast beef to bring to the table? What's your beef, Tom?
My beef this week.
What's your beef?
I actually don't have any beef this week because I've been actually, I've had a very busy week. So my beef is not Stadia centric, so I'm not going to bring it up this week, but my beef is just in general with the human race.
Yeah,
wow. That's everybody. That's most of our listeners, Tom.
No, it's more with people and their reactions towards things like coronavirus out there in the world. And while we've discussed the fact that it is having an impact on everyday life, and we know there are quarantines in place and people are told to self-isolate, there are people out there who you see all over the internet, it's been in the news recently, who are just being stupid, whether it's people who are intentionally ignoring advice and going out and infecting others or putting other people at risk, or people just being stupid in supermarkets, like with panic buying and so on.
Toilet roll.
More recently the toilet roll, but it's just unnecessary. So I suppose I wanted to use my beef section this week to basically just say, obviously, just follow guidelines and just be safe and look after yourself and your family, but don't be a moron about it.
Basically, you went to Tesco's and someone panic bought all the beef.
Yeah, so I went to get some beef and I came out with nada.
You're left with lamb.
With a sour taste in my mouth.
Sour taste.
Yeah.
Beef's gone off.
But
yeah, so that brings us to a wrap on this week's show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us talk about all things Stadia and news stories. Have we got anything else you'd like to bring to the table to go alongside your tasty food, Tom? Or is that
not from me.
You?
I'm good.
From you. Richard, any other points of note?
Just watch out for Spitlings next Friday.
Yes, so remember, to follow us over on youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia, Twitter @Sounds of Stadia. We'll keep you in the loop of news for our Saturday stream next week. You've got Friday the 13th for the Spitling Spectacular with the game creative director, Milan, who was lovely, joined us, had a really good laugh with him. And if you want to get some behind the scenes inside scoops about Spitlings, check that video out when that goes live on Friday. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we've also got the Tomb Raider Part 6 up, where you can witness Tom die over and over and over and over and over again.
Because he's tired.
Exactly. And cranky. And we'll keep in touch with us. Remember, we want to jump in and take part with you. So reach out to us, send us some messages on Twitter, some questions, and we hopefully will see you all live in a few days' time in the chat. Thank you very much for listening. My name's Chris.
My name's Tom.
I'm Richie.
Neither of you ever say that with conviction when I say
No,
that.
I had to convince myself there that I was actually called Tom.
Yeah.
You are.
I think for me, it's which order do we go in? Because every time I bet there's a massive pause, or we both go simultaneously.
It's fine.
Should we stick with the order, like Chris, Tom, Richie?
Sure. We'll nail that in then.
It goes Chris, Tom, Richie because it's Crash Team Racing.
CTR.
Yeah, there we go.
We are Team CTR.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, I've been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.
I'm going to get chicken!
You fell down a well whilst going to get chicken, apparently.
Splash.
Relicta. What was it? Relicta. Bye. Relicta.
Relicta.
Relicta.